Well, the Bengals are right now in a position where it looks like they're going to be coming short going into the playoffs. Now, I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. They still have a chance. The AFC wild card spot is still open. I think they're 2 games behind the final wild card spot. The Broncos winning and absolutely demolishing Atlanta this past weekend, it doesn't help them. It definitely doesn't. But again, that doesn't count the Bengals out. They're not the Jets right now. The Jets look like they completely have given up. But when you hear Jamar Chase come out and throw the coaching staff under the bus, including Zac Taylor, who is on his way out, if Zac Taylor doesn't get this team in the playoffs, it looks like it could be over. It's all she wrote as far as the Bengals concerned. The Bengals right now have a lot of problems, not just in the locker room, on the sidelines. One of the reasons why is the defense does not believe in the play calling, and the offense don't believe in the play calling from the coaching staff. So now you have problems on the defensive side of the ball. You have problems on the offensive side of the ball. The Evan McPherson strategic belief in this guy can make every single kick. If you look at what he did when they made out that run into the Super Bowl, this guy never missed a kick. Over the last 2 seasons, he's had problems in certain parts of the game. And I'm not talking about 50-yard kicks. I'm saying like the 30-yard kicks, the 25-yard kicks. He can't kick a chip shot. It's been a big problem, but it's not just him. It's been happening to the Jets. Greg the Leg has had a problem all season long kicking the ball between the hashes. So I think right now, Jamar Chase is pissed off at the organization. They have not paid him. Zac Taylor, he believes, is not the guy. And again, Joe Burrow is not going to throw anybody on the bus. He's not that typical quarterback. He's going to keep his mouth shut. He's going to take responsibility because that's the kind of quarterback he's always been. Coming from LSU, coming from a program that practically gave up on him in Ohio State and let him go to LSU. And then he just came out of nowhere and became a Heisman Trophy winner and the number 1 pick in the draft when this guy, some people thought wasn't going to be a 3rd-round draft pick. So Joe Burrow is not that typical quarterback like an Aaron Rodgers with a strong personality or a Russell Wilson that's going to throw somebody under the bus. But Zac Taylor has lost his team. And that's what happens when it comes to a coaching staff. He hit his top notch, and that was going to the Super Bowl and falling short against the LA Rams. They did. They fell short. They were, 1 or 2 plays away from possibly beating the Rams. But the Rams played harder in the second half, and they had a world-class defensive lineman in Aaron Donald that took over the game when he needed to, and Cooper Kupp making catches that they needed him to make. And that's why they won the Super Bowl that year. Nevertheless, you look back on the thoughts of Jamar Chase over the last 2 seasons, and to me, Jamar Chase is having a sensational year. But again, it's not even about how many catches he makes now. It's all about, and this is the prima donna wide receivers now in the NFL. He can be making all the catches. He can be doing everything for this team, and he can be putting up the numbers that he's putting up. But if there's something that is not right, he is going to pinpoint it, and he is going to throw that player under the bus. The only person he has not thrown on the bus so far this year is Joe Burrow. And I'm going to tell you this right now. For anybody to sit here and say that Joe Burrow is an elite quarterback, for everybody, for years, for the last 3 seasons, everybody's been saying he's a top 3 quarterback in the league. Okay, he's a top 3 quarterback. What has he done in the last 3 seasons? Joe Burrow is not a top 5 quarterback right now. He's not. If you look at his numbers, they don't stand for a top 3, top 5 quarterback. So you sit back and you're trying to make excuses for this team and this organization. There really is none. This team should be in the playoffs. This team should be the 3rd team in their division. It should be Pittsburgh, it should be Baltimore, and it should be them. We all know the Browns are a failure of an organization. They were not going to be any good with Deshaun Watson, and we know that they were a team that falls flat on the head. The Bengals are not an organization that's done that for the last 3 seasons. Even with Zac Taylor under the helm, this is pathetic. They're going to fall short of the playoffs. Zac Taylor's going to be gone, and they're going to have to rebuild. I'm going to tell you right now, the perfect fit, Ben Johnson going over here. Oh, yeah. Ben Johnson goes over here with Joe Burrow. This is a Super Bowl contending team, 100%. Jamar Chase right now is in a position. He's in the driver's seat right now. He's going to make himself a lot of money. This is the number 1 wide receiver. This is a 4-7 team, and this guy has as far as wide receivers are concerned, this guy has more catches, more yards per catch. I mean, as far as the PFF league, a wide receiver. This guy's having an all-time great year. He's been unbelievable. But he was upset yesterday because he wasn't seeing the ball in parts of the game where he believed he should be seeing the ball. And that goes to the prima donna quarterback to wide receiver. And I'm not saying that Burrow is the prima donna. It's the wide receivers right now. Devontae Adams for years was crying about not seeing the ball over there with the Raiders. Remember that? Last year with the Raiders, he was complaining. He didn't see the ball enough. He didn't see the ball enough. If you watch wide receivers on Netflix, you saw how much he was crying about it. Look at CeeDee Lamb this year. All season long, he's been complaining and bitching that he wasn't seeing the ball, and that's why he's only had 2 100-yard games all season long. Maybe because the offense was running over the last couple of years through him, and teams have figured him out, and they need to find themselves another wide receiver and a running game. The problem right now is the NFL knows that the 2 highest paid positions is the quarterback and wide receiver. We're going to see a wide receiver at the end of the season make close to $45 million. I think Ja'Marr Chase, after the season, as he's going to put up the numbers that he is going to be putting up, there's a very good chance he's going to make over $40-something million. He's going to be the highest paid wide receiver in the league. Justin Jefferson is the highest. And then obviously CeeDee Lamb took a little bit less in the offseason to sign back with the Cowboys. And he might be smacking himself in the head, CeeDee Lamb, now that he signed a big contract with the Cowboys, because now Dak might not be ready for the beginning of next year. And the Cowboys are their contracts that they have invested in certain players like DeMarcus Lawrence. Look what they're paying DeMarcus Lawrence. The guy can't even stay on a football field. Micah Parsons is going to want a big money. So again, getting back to Ja'Marr Chase, he is going to speak and people are going to listen because he's a superstar wide receiver that's putting up numbers that he's been putting up all season long.
I feel like we're beating a dead horse here because they're going to have to blame somebody, right? And then it's probably going to be Zac. And I got to get my Nebraska in. Where did Zac Taylor play in college?
Zac Taylor.
Had to get it in there. Like
I know, it's always Nebraska. It's always Nebraska. I got you.
So yeah, I think it might have run its course, especially, you got T. Higgins and Ja'Marr too, and both personalities and whatever. And Burrow, like you said, is not that dude. He just, he's going to go about his business. He's going to be what he is, and that's really going to be what it is. And so when it comes down to it, it's like, is he happy? Is he not? Who's going to take the fall for this one? And by the looks of it, it sounds like it's going to be Zac. And because who else are you going to do? I mean, who are you going to get rid of? What are you going to do? Is it play calling? And like he said, ask Zac, I don't call the plays. So, I mean, therein lies maybe some back and forth as far as maybe not getting it enough or doesn't like the right play call. But at the end of the day, there's going to have to be somebody that takes the fall for it. And as it looks, it's probably going to be Zac.
Definitely going to be Zac, because it's not going to be Ja'Marr Chase. It's not going to be Joe Burrow. And it might even be the GM, because the GM might be on his way out too. I just think the organization is going to look elsewhere as far as the coach. And if you bring in a new GM, you're going to bring in a new coach. And I just think that this team has run its course as far as with the Zac situation. But again, the thought is with the Bengals is they should be in position to make the playoffs, and 4-7 is not getting it done. This team is not getting it done. And again, this organization as a whole is still trying to sneak into the playoffs, or this organization is trying to get back to the promised land, to the Super Bowl. Remember, Ja'Marr Chase was Rookie of the Year. He was Rookie of the Year they went to the Super Bowl. And Joe Burrow was up for a Heisman. He was doing all the things right. And he beat Patrick Mahomes, I think, in Kansas City that year to get to the Super Bowl. So, again, you have to make the right decisions as an organization. And we have seen the Bengals have been a losing organization for many, many years. They had Lewis there for 12, 13 years. Great defenses, not the great quarterback play. I mean, Andrew Dalton was a good quarterback, but they didn't have a lot of great offensive weapons over the years. But they built this team. They put this team in a good position to win, and they've fallen apart.